How about you? Good. I'm leaving. Got a hard stop at noon today.
Okay.
I gotta head on up to Oregon. Taking it.
Morning, everyone. Like to open the regular board meetings. Well, I'm getting all this feedback here. Like to open up this regular board meeting for November 28th, 2023 at 9:01. And if everyone would rise, we'll say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So, we'll move to the public forum. 5 minutes per item. We'd like to welcome the members of the public who have taken the time to attend this meeting and provide comments on matters related to district business. Any member of the public may address the board relating to any matter within the board's jurisdiction. This need not be related to any item on the agenda. However, the board cannot act on an item unless it was noticed on the agenda. Persons speaking during the public comment will be limited to the 5 minutes as I previously stated, or depending on the number of persons wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. Is there any person in the public that would like to address the board? Seeing none? No? Okay, thanks. Then I will close that. And Melissa, you're up.
Consent calendar, minutes of the regular board meeting of November 14th, 2023. Item number 2, consider dedicating a utility easement to PG&E for receiving electrical service at the Willow Springs lift station.
Is there any board member that would want to pull one of the items? No? Then I'm looking for a motion to accept. We accept. Do I get a second?
I'll second, but you may want to ask for public comment.
Thank you. Was there any public comment for the consent calendar? Okay. I guess then we can move forward. We got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ron, we have to do roll call since Director Kearns is on Zoom, so we do individual. So I can call for that.
Okay.
Okay. Director Balin.
Aye.
Director Boatwright.
Aye.
Director Jacobs.
Aye.
Director Kearns.
Aye.
Director Regan.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
We need President Kearns back here. Okay, so now we go to regular business.
Okay, item number 3, consider award of contract to DA Wood Construction, Inc. for the Techite Pipeline Project Phase 3.
Good morning. I'm Gadiel DiMattei, an associate engineer here with the district. I'm going to share my screen here. Looks like I can't share my screen. It's grayed out, Corey. I was going to show you a map for sake of the public and for yourselves to get an idea where it is, but it's not that important. There's a map included in your board item. So you're gonna have to reference that. Let's see. So, as your board is well aware, a techite water main is a certain material of pipe. It's called techite. It's actually a brand name. It's made out of fiberglass and sand. It was a cheap, lightweight pipe that was supposed to be really strong. It was installed all over the Western Seaboard in the 70s. And about 5 or 10 years later, it was proven to get very, very brittle under that short amount of time and begin to fail. Because it's fibrous, when it does fail, it doesn't just crack and leak, it fails, it unravels, and it fails catastrophically. At our district here, we are well aware of this problem because we have, somewhere around 8,000 linear feet in our distribution system, and our crew is very good at fixing it because it fails a lot. This project that's before you today will actually be replacing almost the last of it that's in our system. Phase 1 of the techite project, we replaced 2,500 feet. That was in 2020. Phase 2 of the techite project, we replaced the next 2,000 feet. That was in 2021. And now we are proposing before you to award a contract to replace another about 4,000 feet of it. It's mostly on Lazy Z Lane out in the Cedar Ridge or Middle Camp area. Let's see. This project in particular is very difficult because Lazy Z Lane is a very narrow, winding road. We have an existing techite line there. Again, it's very brittle, so we can't just dig next to it. We're afraid it's going to explode if we do that. So we have to put in a bypass in order to continue water service downstream during construction. So a lot of challenges with it, a lot of risk involved with it, but here we are. Finally replacing most of the last of it. We discovered more techite line in the not Cedar Ridge, the Nile River subdivision. We are aware of at least 600 feet of it. We're of course that's the next on deck to replace as soon as funds are available. With that, I'm here to answer any questions.
Director Balin.
Thank you. Thank you, Gadiel. So we see that Narich and Moyle have done the work before in the earlier phases. Have we worked with DA Woods before?
No, I don't believe we have, at least not in the memory that's available to us here. So we did a very thorough reference check. We called 3 other agencies that have worked with them before. They got high comments. All of them said that they would hire them again. Also, another thing that's really good about our bidding is that all of the bids were relatively tight. And especially the low bidder wasn't really significantly lower than all the other bids. Not to mention the fact that the 2 lowest bidders were actually within 10% of the engineer's estimate. So all of those really indicates that all the contractors understood the project and that it's an indication that there could be less problems.
Yeah, I appreciate that, although the proof is in the pudding when they start work. So another question is, had you thought about dividing up this last phase since you may be dealing with, because you are dealing with a new bidder, biting off a smaller chunk and seeing how this contractor does? Because this clearly is more linear feet than the other 2 phases. So to me, did you discuss that risk?
Yes, absolutely. And we actually, this project, phase 3, is divided in the CIP program for this year as 2 separate projects, phase 3A and 3B. So we already had it divided up because of the high cost and because of all of the risk involved. However, with this one, we wanted to see what contractors came back with as far as pricing for each of those phases. So we broke down the bid into actually 3 separate bid schedules. And our plan was to award as we could afford and award as we feel comfortable. This is a new contractor, but like I said, we did the reference check. And the bids were very tight. And we can afford to award its bid schedule A and B, which is both phases of those CIP projects, the phase 3A and 3B.
Are you saying that you're breaking them out into separate work orders, that there will be a rebidding process? The award is just for one leg of the pipe, or is it for all legs of the pipe?
No, sorry for the confusion. So I wish I had my map because I would show you this, but basically there's 4,600 linear feet. And that's including that 600 feet that we recently discovered of Techite line. Okay. So we broke out this bid into 3 different bid schedules, A, B, and C. So that third one, section C, bid schedule C, was for that 600 feet that we recently discovered, right? So for this award, we're recommending that we award bid schedules A and B, which is the project that we had already planned on doing. It does not include that extra leg. So there will be rebidding if we decide to go with a contractor on that newly discovered Techite. But for both phases A and B, which is the kind of the project we had planned for the past 5 years or so, we're recommending that you award that entire thing to DA Wood. And I'm sorry if that's not clear. I realize it's a little.
No, it's, and you obviously know, where I have strong concerns regarding, going on, I just have concerns about, building in off ramps.
Okay.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Director Kearns has his hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Director Ryan. Yeah, Gadiel, so just clarifying, you guys believe then that final 600 feet that you just found, that's going to do it for the Techite? I think we're all done then under everything we know right now.
Yes, basically everything we know right now. There is a little bit of concern that there's more Techite in the Nile River subdivision. If, as we pothole, as we find that additional one, Techite, and confirm that it actually exists, then we'll work on replacing it. But as of right now, this is all the kind of clearly defined Techite that we have in our system.
Okay, great. And did I hear you say that? Well, I guess you said if we decide to go with a contractor on that additional 600 feet. So, yeah, it may be better just to have our own guys do it. Then we'll determine that at the time. Then, correct?
That's definitely an option to have our own crews do it. They could knock it out pretty quickly. Yes.
All right. Thank you. No further questions.
Director Boatright.
Gadiel, do we have any new vetting process or procedure for first-time contractors that the district's using?
Nope, everybody has to meet the same requirements as everybody else in order to be a fair bidding process, as far as bonding and insurance and everything like that. And they do meet all of those requirements.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So, okay, Director Jacobs, go ahead.
Yes. Could you give us a little background on what you learned about DA Woods?
Yeah. Let's see, called, I believe it was the city of Turlock. They worked for them. Really great project to compare to this one because it involved roadway replacement and involved a very steep 48-inch storm drain that was 13 feet deep. And asking questions like, how did it go? Were there change orders? Would you hire them again? And they said, you know what? Yes, there were change orders. Yes, it did go over budget, but wasn't this is talking with another public agency, but it went well. DA Wood was straightforward, honest, and fair with their change orders. Whenever they found a problem, brought it to us, and with a collaborative attitude, working together to solve the problem in a fair way. So really heard similar things from the city of Manteca and another contractor that they deal with commonly. So as far as reference checks goes, it really doesn't get much better than that.
And also, as a follow-up, do we know how long they've been in business?
Oh, a long time. I mean, 30 plus years.
Okay. And
I
they're-
visited their website and noticed that they've been around a while.
And where are they based out of?
Where are they based out of? That's a good question. There we go. Oakdale. Yeah, that's right.
All right,
So they're
not
local.
not too far from home,
I'm sorry,
not too far from us.
not too far.
All right, well, I want to thank the director's comments, questions, and so on, but I'll say what I said for ABC paving. I don't know why we're going with another contractor that we've never used and let the contractors that we have used on that project not be hired. I mean, I understand the bidding process, but sometimes the lowest number doesn't mean the best job. And that is what really concerns me. I mean, we got horribly, I don't know what you want to call it, but taken advantage of by that ABC paving. And I'd hate to see this turn into another one. I don't know why we're not using Moyle or the other contractor that we've used on this that are very familiar with the problems and issues it would take to replace that techite pipe. But I am glad that we're maybe finally going to get rid of it all and be done with it. So I'll leave it at that. Director Balin.
I have one last thing, and it's just a word change, a brief word change. I don't have the contract in front of me, but it is in the clause where it says that the contractor shall perform the service in a workmanship-like manner. I've never heard that expression before. I think it's subjective. Perhaps it could be changed to a professional manner. Do you know where I'm referring to?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it is general and it is subjective. And that particular word is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can work with our legal counsel to to change our contract, right?
Yeah, that's in Article 1 of the contract there. And yeah, I would defer to Jesse, and I don't expect Jesse to have that available to him right now, but it's been in our contracts for as long as I can recall. But I'm not opposed to changing it. I just want to make sure there isn't another consequence of if that language has specific meaning to Jesse. So we can work with him offline.
I think just to elevate it a little bit
Mhm.
would
Sure.
be timely. Thank you.
Okay, with that,
Looks like,
Jesse has his hand up.
oh, thank you. Okay, Jesse, go ahead.
Thank you, Director Ringen. Just responding to those last two comments, the way public bidding has to occur is if the district advertises for bids, it does have to treat all of the bidders the same. The TUD does not have the option to exclude contractors because TUD has not done work for them before, done work for TUD. It's not an option. And with respect to Director Balin's comment, yes, I can work with TD staff and elaborate on that comment, what it means for future contracts. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
just to add to that a little bit, that's not the only place in the contract that describes the standard that we're looking for. There's very specific standards that are very easily measured and pass fail, whether they've met them or not elsewhere in the contract. But that's more of a overarching term. Do it with a quality workmanship, I think might be the term, but
yeah.
So it's in there several times.
Okay, Director Jacobs.
Yeah, so with regard to this, the word workmanlike is having been involved in a lot of these kinds of things, that is kind of a standard phrase, kind of a universally recognized way to describe getting the job done right. So
It is.
Yeah.
Director Jacobson.
Then another thing, just in the light of some issues we had with other contractors, so how, is there anything different about our contract on this project? Is there anything different than the previous contract where we had issues? Have we learned from that experience? Have we modified our approach to prevent us from getting into another potentially negative situation? In other words, what kind of stick do we have to do that?
Yes, this
And-
contract does involve paving, so our paving specification is more clear, tighter,
Okay.
and more easily measured.
Okay.
And actually less subjective than it has been in the past.
Okay.
And then the main difference between this one and the other one is that we're not in the same situation. We're not on a high traffic road. It's not mostly a paving contract. It's mostly a pipeline project.
Right. Okay. And then just to follow up, as I recall on previous contracts we had issues with, General Manager Perkins expressed early in the game on a particular project that he would like to get them off the job, basically. And my understanding was, for legal reasons or other reasons, that was not readily available remedy for us. Has that changed in this regard at all?
Well, I see Jesse has his hand up, as I was going to say too. So we have a closed session about that other project. But Jesse, go ahead and take over.
Yes, thank you. I encourage the board to just refrain from referring to the other project. That is subject to an upcoming closed session. I encourage the board not to speak publicly about it. Thank you.
Okay, I guess with that, we need a motion to accept and a second. Oh, sorry. Is there any public comment? I don't see any here. No. So no public comment. Guess we need a motion and a second to move forward on this.
Excuse me, Director, Chairman Ringen, I'd like have something else I'd like to mention
Okay,
prior to that. Is that
go ahead.
okay? Do we have is there anything in our agreements to provide incentives, a carrot, if you will, to finish ahead of schedule or under budget? Do we have any incentives for the contractor to do that?
I think this has been brought up on at a previous meeting too. And the answer is going to be the same or similar. In this particular contract, no. What we found is, like, on larger projects, especially when we have interim financing and there's an overhead expense, absolutely, I think that's something we should look at for Sierra Pines. But in this particular case, other than the fact that the techite will periodically fail, there isn't a real reason to incentivize quicker work here. Our expenses are all going to be borne internally and are fixed expenses anyway, because Gadiel's going to manage the job. Our inspector's going to inspect the job. So in this case, no, and we aren't constrained by any permit requirements, or we're not in a high traffic road where, we need to get out before some big event or before school starts. I think there's a place for that on larger projects, but not this one.
Thank you.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gadiel, in our bidding process, is there a section for the contractor to speculate on type, size, and the age of equipment that he anticipates to use on the project?
No is the short answer. No, we do require equipment to be in good running condition and operable and things like that. That's always been in our contract. But as long as it's working, then it's allowed.
would it be beneficial to add a section like that that requires all contractors to, you know, like I said, speculate on type, size, and age of equipment they anticipate using?
I think it gets down to, and Jesse could also speak to this, is like means and methods. Typically, you know, we outline the scope and the specifications for the job, but it's really up to the contractor. It's a risk transfer operation for them to determine how to build the job to our specifications. And if we were to start to specify types of equipment, and for instance, we encounter rock and the horsepower or the type of excavator that Gadiel had specified doesn't have enough power to go through the rock, then we'd be subject to claims or change orders from the contractor. We also would constrain the creativity for some of these contractors to approach the work. And thirdly, they only have in their inventory specific equipment. And so their bid is constructed on, for many of these contractors, not having to rent a lot, but to maximize the use of their own stock of equipment. So we don't do that. I think there are contracts out there in specific types of work where you would specify a specific crane, for instance, because maybe not the model or anything, but you would want to specify it has lifting capacity and a reach and all of those kinds of things, but not in this particular. It's a trenching pipeline project.
Yeah, I think my question was more based in the contractors volunteering the information on what they, you know, would speculate using on the job versus us, you know, a specific dozer or loader, just so that the district had a list of types of equipment and, you know, it gives insight to the age of the contractor's, equipment, you know, that he uses to do his job.
That is good to know, like on our on-call, it's nice to know what contractors have available in terms of equipment so that when we issue an on-call agreement, we know they have the capability of doing it. But I'm not sure that information, how we would use that legally in selecting. It would just be an informational only. But I don't think we could select one contractor over another on the basis that their equipment was older than another contractor's.
All right, thank you.
All right, so if we have no more conversation here, I guess we're looking for a motion in a second.
I move that we accept the recommendation of staff to proceed.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, so I would call for roll call or vote. Director Balin,
Aye.
Director Boatright,
Aye.
Director Jacobs,
Aye.
Director Kearns,
Aye.
Director Ringen.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Now, Melissa, you're back up.
Okay. Item number 4, update on district operations for October 2023.
Okay, I'm up again. Eric Hall again, needs to be down at regional on Tuesday mornings. Things are going pretty well down there. So anyway, I'm here stepping in for Eric, and I didn't spend an awful lot of time studying the opt report other than approving it a couple of weeks ago. But I will comment today that the raw water division, the fall, and I quote, the fall main Tuolumne Canal outage went really well. I think it was short in term. It didn't go as many days as expected. The crews performed perfectly. The weather was great. There were no concerns of anybody running out of water during the fall outage. Yeah. Water treatment, I see again that the demand is down. It's several months in a row that the demand is down from one year to the next. It's just a snapshot in time there, but it's just interesting to note that the demand is creeping down a little bit month after month. Distribution system, I see, there's a couple of pictures of the Mona Village tanks. You can see they're in progress. Both tanks are down and off the site. Geotech has been done, and I think we're waiting for bids on a tank about now. Is that about right, Eric? Yep, waiting on bids for a new tank. So that's good. The construction crews are very busy with everything else, besides doing working on the Mount Provo, they attended to 18 leaks, a lot of leaks. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Lastly, for me, I went out and saw this recently, but I see the Mill Villa and the Parrots Ferry Sewer Lift Station. Those are CIP projects, are complete, and they are absolutely beautiful, beautifully constructed, designed, built. It's really nice. So if you get a chance, go see those. That's the end of my report, but I'll try to answer some questions for Eric if you've got some.
Do any directors have any questions? No? Well, I'll just make a statement that I had the opportunity of spending about 3+ hours with GM Perkins inspecting many of those projects, and they are just what he said. They are really well done. Many of them done by our own crews, and I'm just very proud of this organization and how much things are moving ahead. So with that being said, I guess it's accept and file, Melissa?
It's review only.
Huh?
Review only.
Review only, okay.
Don,
Oh, yeah, no,
if
go
I may,
ahead.
a question on this. I was just looking at the influent and effluent totals for the Sonora Regional Plant. And the math doesn't work out.
I closed it out. Sorry, didn't know there was any more questions. Tell me, what do you see? I closed it out, so I don't see the numbers. I thought we were done, so I closed it.
Well, it describes influent at Sonora Regional to be 52 million and the average at 1.1, whereas when I run the math, I come up with 1.6. I was just wondering, is there, besides having an error mathematically on the sheet, is there an explanation for the influent being so high at the Sonora Regional Plant?
Not that I can think of top of my head. I don't remember if we had any sizable amount of rain. I don't know, Director Boyd. These meters down there have been driving me crazy for about 8 years now. And so I've asked operator after operator after operator, what's with these numbers? They don't make sense to me either. Influent can be higher than the effluent sometimes, and exact opposite other times. And each and every time, but it just comes away with, well, it's discrepancies in meters.
I recommend that that you follow up on that if that's a discrepancy that you would just like to have a little more information. Maybe you can get back to Director Boatwright on that.
You bet.
Yeah.
Any other comments or whatever from no questions or whatever? So I guess with that, it's Lyle?
That's it. It was just review only.
Okay. Then we move to staff reports. You're all in the hot seat.
I'll go first real quick. Plenty busy, but the most notable deal was on the 16th of November. Myself and some directors and staff went up to Auburn for the Mountain County Water Resource Association 23 Fall Forum. I've been to several of those mountain counties. I've been to a couple of CSDAs and a couple of aquas, and they're all really nice and very beneficial and an opportunity to learn. But when you're with the mountain counties folks, you feel like you're with your neighbors, right? We really identify with each other well. Our vision aligns well. And so I learned an awful lot up there. I appreciated the opportunity to go up there. And anyway, just if you haven't been to mountain counties, I would suggest you try to. It's really, really awesome. Like I said, you learn a lot, and it's from people like us. We're in the mountains, just as the name implies. That's all I have.
Who's up next? Okay,
Good morning, everyone. Happy for fun. Thank you, Eric. I do want folks to hear me because I have the opportunity this morning to just give some kudos for some of our staff members. And so about a week ago, right before Thanksgiving holiday, we got a call from an individual on South Oxbow Lane who had one of our distribution foremen come out for a water shutdown for repair and some questions about his meter, and asked Justin Turzich for some help out there. And Mr. Geach called in and spoke to Kalisha and just kind of an outpouring of gratitude for Justin and his helpfulness and his knowledge and expertise, and just wanted to make sure that his supervisor knew about it. And so I wanted to take it one step further and just recognize Justin for his outstanding customer service in the field here with your board and the public. And then finally, I wanted to recognize Gino Pinocchio, who is also in the distribution department, who passed his distribution grade 2 test last week on his first time. And so just proud of Gino and wanted to say congratulations. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
thank you. Next person up.
Just real briefly, I wanted to foreshadow for the board that another project will be coming to you here soon for consideration to award. On Thursday, we're going to open bids for the Mono Village Sewer Lift Station Bypass Project, which will be a new gravity sewer main from the current site of Mono Village Lift Station down Mono Way, all the way down towards the Aladdin, if you know the location I'm talking about there. So hopefully in January, we'll be coming to you with a recommendation for award.
Thank you. Steve, do you have anything?
Nothing for you.
Okay, directors. Who wants to go first? You're good to go? Barbara Balin.
Yeah, I'll just make it really brief. As Don mentioned, on November 16th, we had a Mountain Counties up in the Placerville area or Auburn area. And I just wanted to highlight, one of the talks was on aging infrastructure. And I took a photo of a slide that Michael Minkler, who's the GM for our brethren over across the river for CCWD, talked about. And it was water customers per square mile. And the comparison is just jaw-dropping because the city of Sacramento has 9,720 customers per square mile. City of San Jose has over, 11,000, close to 12,000 per square mile, et cetera, et cetera. And CCWD has 334 customers per square mile. So it gives you an idea of the sense of where all of our when our rigs get, a lot of miles on them. I mean, we clearly do not have an economy of scale, and we spend a lot of time and ratepayer money getting to these little areas that were approved, little hamlets, but it costs us. So I'm just going to send this photo on to Dawn, and maybe you can pass it around, because one picture is worth 1,000 words, and they are very similar to us. We just clearly don't have the thousands of people per square mile. So when a pipe breaks, you've got a lot of customers to support that getting fixed. So that's all I want to say, and except just echo what Don said. These things are really important. I just came away feeling supported and learning a lot. So with that, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a question for Barbara. In those numbers, and those are very substantial numbers, the operational cost per customer differential, was there anything that alluded towards actual dollars in customers per square mile differential on that?
No, this was just a slide presentation, and I wouldn't have thought to ask that or write any information down, but I would encourage you to call Michael Minkler to unpack his slide.
I had the same question, Director Boatwright, as you had while there. I remember that. Thanks for recalling that slide, because it struck me as very powerful, right? And so it drove me to talk with Eric Johnson when we got back. And one of the things we're going to do is just that. Try to analyze what does it cost to serve per person in the Sacramento area versus it does in the Calaveras County, right? You want to get it down to dollars per person. I get it. We want to do the same thing, but you want to talk about disadvantage. That's the description of disadvantage to me. And I think we should fight with our legislators to clear or put us in that category as severely disadvantaged because of the lack of ratepayers paying into the system. I venture to say that our collective system is larger than Sacramento's, just because we got to go so spread out. Yet but we're a small to medium sized district. So interesting to me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just to tack onto that, do we have an idea where we fall in terms of customers per square mile?
We've only done it in customers per mile of pipeline. That metric, Dawn has asked that we do it per square mile, so we would have a basis of comparison. So I'm sure we'll report back to you.
It would be interesting to see how, and maybe look at what if other counties have done that, just kind of see where we're at.
Mhm.
Just for the board's benefit, to Director Boatwright's question, I would encourage you, the AWWA does a benchmarking. It used to be every year. Now it's about every 2 years. But they divide the whole country into regions and go into just those kind of key performance indexes, cost per customer, number of customers per pipeline, per mile, and everything else. And you know what you really find, we're very similar to Calaveras. I mean, we're very different in some ways, but we're very similar. So our numbers would be similar and the cost would be as well. However, every district's unique in what they have. So, you know, you have to take kind of with a grain of salt if you want to just compare it and say, oh, well, Illinois is this or whatever. And you can't do that. And they have it by region. And for years, for the past decade, I used to try and update that every year to do the benchmark performances. But ultimately, we have what we have. We can't separate Columbia and say, we're going to combine Columbia with everybody else. That's going to stay separate and do that thing. So the benchmark numbers are out there and they do provide a look and they help with grant solicitation and that sort of thing. But again, our operating costs are unique to us in doing that. But those numbers are out there. You can track them. But like I said, you have to look at what our specific facilities are and what we're dealing with our customer base. So.
Yes.
I wanted to add one more thing. Yeah, thank you, Steve, on that. The information is out there. I just, for the board's edification, Michael Minkler for CCWD also stated that their 5-year CIP plan, first draft was over 200 million in what they needed. Their rate study was 93 million and what they adopted was 85 million. For CIP needs. So just for us, for comparison. And then I want to thank Eric for being at Mountain Counties as well. Okay.
Yeah, it was very informative. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Director Boatwright.
No reports at this time. Thank you.
Well, guess I'm gonna have to break the mold here. 11:15, attended Tuolumne Stanislaus Irwin Water Advisory Committee meeting. And on 11:16, also went to the Mountain Counties Water Resource Association Water Forum in Auburn. And on 11:20, as I mentioned earlier, infrastructure observation, 3+ hours with our general manager. So with that, I guess we're done. And it's time to go to close the meeting and go to closed session.
Director Reagan, I have to read the session.
Would you please?
Okay, closed session. Item A, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D of section 54956.9. Item 2, public employee performance evaluation pursuant to government code section 54957, position general manager.
Thank you, Melissa. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Go ahead, Jesse.
Thank you, Director Ringen. And let's also make sure we ask, it doesn't look like we have any public, but it's good to go through the motions here and become familiar with it. We just ask for public comment on any of these closed session items before the board goes into closed session.
Okay, thank you for that. So I guess that's what we're doing, is asking for any public
Is it,
anybody?
anybody online for public?
Looks like no one has anything. So thank you for that, Jesse, but we're in good shape apparently. So
Director Ringen, I request a 5-minute break between
oh,
now and.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Stop.
Do we have any reportable actions, in other words?
Jesse, do you expect any reportable action coming out of the closed session?
I do not. I do
Okay.
not.
So we can shut down the YouTube portion and then, okay.
Okay, I guess with that, we'll recess.